Hey, Joe Martin here. You've seen our commercials over the years, and you may be wondering, what's in it for me? Well, ITI Technical College has been selected by Forbes magazine as a top 32-year college. But even more than that, the reason we do this is you. Our tagline is, for a better life, and we mean that, for you to be able to have the life you've always dreamed about, to do the things for your family you've always dreamed about. And it can begin here, where we are dedicated to your success, because here at ITI, the reason we do it is you.
This is Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag, and I'm Lee Feinswag. We're in our 24th year, if you count Sports Monday and Sports 225, and the only way that could happen is, well, it's my show.
My best friend, Lee Feinswag, look at the Christmas.
Sports 225 is brought to you by Breck. And now, me.
Oh my, it's Sports 225, it's August, we still got about, 10 or 12 days till the start of the NCAA real college football season, and Ron Higgins is here, and it's a time of transition for us all.
Yes, it is. It's a time of transition. I'm currently unemployed.
See, normally you would see right there, look, there you go. Ron Higgins, the Dean of SEC Sports Writers. That's what I came up with. I couldn't remember what the tag was. But it used to say Ron Higgins, and he worked for Brand X. We're not even going to mention them. But we've all been there in this business in some form or fashion.
Yeah, when they say they have a corporate, shift or whatever they want to call it, and you're making too much money and you're too old, basically it comes down to. And,
yeah.
And, I prepared for this 4 or 5 years ago when one of my best friends in the business, Joe Biddle, the Tennessean,
who is a writing legend in the Southeastern Conference.
I mean, he owned Nashville, and they just walked in one day and fired him. And so when it happened to him, I knew it could happen to anybody. And this happened to a lot of my friends since then. So I always prepared for the day when my number would, come up, and came up last week. So now I'm a free agent on the market,
With a lot of great possibilities.
Yeah,
Ron Higgins is the most talented sports writer covering the SEC. You are the Dean of Sports Writers of the SEC, aren't you?
Yeah, I probably am. I got a couple of years on Tony Barnhart. I was really blown away by all the response, social media, on Facebook and Twitter. I never realized I affected that many people. I thought I infected them.
I didn't do social media. I just called him. He didn't answer, so I left him an F-bomb message.
That's how we do. That's how Lee rolls. But it was so much just kind response that I was just blown away. So it's been I took it well. I mean, I walked in there and turned the corner, had the brown envelope, and the HR guy with the somber look like he was burying somebody, and I just started laughing. I think it took him aback. But that's this business. I'll find something else, and I enjoyed my 5 years there. I always wanted to work. I'll say the name. I always wanted to work for the Times-Picayune and NOLA.com because it's where Pete Finney worked, and I think Pete Finney is the best sports writer ever in Louisiana. And I always wanted to work there, and I got 5 good years there, and I'm looking forward to the next adventure because there's always a new adventure.
Well, there's so many things to consider. I used to work for The Advocate. I was the LSU basketball beat writer the last 7 or 8 years I was there, but I was there 13 years. And when I interviewed there in August of 1984, it was during the 1984 Olympics. And the reason that the job was opening was because 2 guys there, John Adams, who's from Clinton, Louisiana, he was leaving or had left, and I want to say he was leaving to go to Pittsburgh.
Went to Pittsburgh Post because he had the Steelers, yeah.
Right, and then ended up in Knoxville. The other guy who was leaving was finishing up his last week, and he was going to Memphis,
right?
Was Ron Higgins. And I remember that's when you and I met, and we visited in the newsroom.
Yeah.
I said, all right, tell me why I don't want this job. That's what I used to do when I interviewed for jobs. Tell me why I don't want this job. I don't remember what you told me, but I took it
can't believe
anyway.
you still took the job. And I ended up staying in Memphis for most of the 30 years.
You did a stint in Mobile.
With Mobile, I went back to Memphis to where one of my best friends on the staff said, quote, when I went back to Memphis, I've never seen somebody try to break back into a jail. But I love Memphis, and I got a chance to come down here, and it was good to come home. And now we'll see what's out there. So I'm always looking forward to the next adventure. It'll be in the South somewhere, I guarantee you, because that's my strength.
No, I don't see you like covering the Big Ten or the Pac-12.
No, they couldn't.
They wouldn't be ready for you anyway.
I could give them my best Alabama media impression. I say, asking Mike Leach a question. Coach Leach, tell me, how great are you? Coach Saban, do you get up in the morning and look at yourself and say, how can I be greater today than I was yesterday? Love Alabama media.
Yes, you do. I want to continue the Ron Higgins life bio travelogue just a little bit after we get back from this break, and then we'll discuss some of the actual matters at hand. Which
yes, indeed.
Include,
the important stuff.
SEC football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Up because, as it says on there, show it again, Ron Higgins, the dean of SEC sports writers.
That's the dean.
Oh, no, the wrong one. You got the wrong one. He doesn't exist. That's not that. Go. There you go. Perfect.
The dean. Right. They call him the dean.
All right. We're going to take this break. It's Sports 225. It's August. I'm Lee Feinswag. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm the human dislike button. You may recognize me as the guy who enforces rules at Breck Parks. Check out my amazing presentation. Did you know? Motorized vehicles are not allowed in Breck Parks. Sales and solicitation are prohibited without permission from Breck. And my favorite rule, keep Breck Parks clean by placing all trash in trash cans. Come on, you can do this. For more information about these and other Breck rules, please visit breck.org/HDB.
All right, we're back on Sports 225. Like it says there, I'm Lee Feinswag. Ron Higgins is with me, and I got a story about this shirt, I got to tell you.
Okay, tell me this shirt.
So I love this shirt. It makes me feel like I'm on vacation. But this summer we took this long trip, went overseas 3 weeks, and unfortunately there was a heat wave the whole time in Scandinavia, and we were in Boston, then Scandinavia in the back. Never one time took the sweatshirt or the jacket even out of the suitcase. It was just hot. And that's just wrong, of course. It should have been some 50-degree nights, drinking beer, looking out at the water. It should have been something like that. But this shirt, this was my go-to shirt. I can't tell you how many times I both wore it and washed it. But I hadn't touched it in a few weeks since I got back. And so I decided, it's colorful. It's got a little fish. It's Patagonia. I said, I'm going to wear this today. So I feel like I'm on vacation.
I got to tell you, this shirt is like an unplanned vacation. It makes me feel like an unplanned.
So Ron Higgins is a free agent, and but it was really funny that you wrote on your social media posts, and especially on Facebook, where you had so many people respond to you, that there are people who think, for example, that you don't like LSU. This is a guy who grew up right near Webb Park in Baton Rouge, whose father was the sports information director at LSU, who went to LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you wish LSU nothing but good things.
I can see them do well, but part of my job is that where they don't do well, I'm not going to lie about it. You can't fool readers. If something's garbage, you're going to write that it's garbage, and sometimes it is garbage, and that's what didn't like me very much, and that's okay. That's part of the job. When you're a columnist, you basically call it like you see it, and if it's not. And most people respect that. There's a lot of fans who don't like that because that's why they're fans.
Right, but they read it, and the thing that you have to understand about a columnist is he's not the beat writer who just explains to you basically what happened or writes feature stories. A columnist is supposed to either give you opinion, give you insight, make you try to think, or make you laugh. I think that's pretty. And the last one's the hardest.
Yeah, to me, a good week with write columns be, write one to make him laugh, write one to make you mad, write one to make you think, write one to make you kind of get you in the heart.
Yep.
And I've had weeks like that, so I'm pretty good. Because me, I like to make him laugh. But
the ones that get to the heart, those are tough. I think back to some circumstances. where you might have spent all day on something where maybe somebody died and you wrote about it and you interviewed a lot of people and it was poignant, and you just go home and you're just drained. You got nothing left.
Yeah, you have days like that where you just, or it's somebody that you've covered forever or knew personally and died unexpectedly, and all of a sudden you're writing about somebody you really knew pretty well, and it kind of emotionally drains you. That's but that's part of good writing too. That you just kind of sometimes you cut a vein and let it bleed, and and some of the best columns are like that. That you just basically. I don't think I've ever tried to hold back ever with the way I wrote. Some people don't like that, some people do, but pretty much if you ran into me in the airport and talked to me about sports for 10 minutes, you'd walk away saying, God, he writes just like he talks.
Yeah.
And that's good. That's the whole point.
Off the top of your head, can you think of a column that you wrote that was really funny, that you laughed when you wrote it, and then it was actually received as funny?
Oh yeah. It was the one where I had, I think it was Dave Aranda writing thank you notes to various people for him getting his raise. One was to one was to Leva, one was to Matt Canada. It was like a long list of people that it was like a Seinfeld episode. All these people kind of connected together at the end. And I'm writing this thing, cracking up at it. And then, as soon as I was sitting in the office, they were cracking up at it. So I knew it was pretty good. But yeah, sometimes I'll do it. Or one I wrote recently on a cruise ship where the stuff happened. It really happened.
Yeah.
I went on a cruise and I said, I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to wear an LSU shirt on the cruise. Let's see what kind of response I get. They went out of Mobile.
That was a funny column.
And it was hilarious. I mean, so you can't, I've been lucky that I've been kind of naturally funny my whole life, and it hadn't been too forced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love those columns. But I also liked, my favorite story I wrote since I guess my 5 years in NOLA.com was the one I did in February on Joe Este, a kid from New Orleans who didn't qualify academically, ended up at a junior college in Mississippi in football, and went to Tennessee Martin and played. And he ended up raising his two nephews while it was his sister's kids and she has drug problems, raised them, got them from out of New Orleans and raised them while he was playing football there. And then his mother was homeless and living in a car outside a casino in New Orleans, and got her up there. And so he handled all this while he was playing football in college and got a degree. And that was my favorite story I've done here. I mean,
it was a hell of a story.
Yeah.
Sometimes you run into things by accident.
Yeah.
And not, I don't mean that story, but I mean, like I remember they made me write a column one year, 100 years ago at the Advocate during the baseball regional. And I took the approach that the college baseball game just took too long, and guys just spent too much time at bat. And LSU had a player named Rich Cordani who used to step out of the box, and he would adjust both gloves and his helmet and his crotch and do this and do that and then get back in. And in there talking to Skip Burtman, he says, I have sex in less time than Cordani has in at bat. Somehow it got through, and the column comes out the next morning, and I'm just laughing myself. And I remember a couple of people were really upset. That line from Skip got in there, and whatever. Anyway, LSU plays that day, and Cordani gets up to bat the first time. We had that open air press box, the old Alex Box Stadium, and Cordani takes a pitch, steps out, and adjusts one glove, adjusts the other glove, gets his crotch, gets his helmet. Some fan stands up and yells as loud as he can, "Hey, Cordani, was it good for you too?" Well, to this day, I don't know that I got had a better reaction than that.
Another story I liked I did this year was at an LSU Vanderbilt game where Dale got together everybody, like a reunion of all these people who got this humongous fight in his first year as a coach.
Yeah.
And that was like, only Dale Brown could pull together the strangest reunion you've ever seen of all these people, including this fan who was a former Vanderbilt player who jumped the table and gotten in this humongous fight with Collis Temple and Van Bredekoff and Wade Evans.
And Collis Temple and Jan Van Bredekoff were best buddies.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
do stuff together.
But,
All right, we're way over.
Yeah, but
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
He is Ron Higgins, who we're all lucky that he's been funny his whole life, and he still is. Hold that thought until the next break. All right. I'm Lee Feinswag. It's Sports 225.
Hi, I'm the human dislike button. You may recognize me as the rules guy for Breck Parks. Sometimes the rules slip past us, so I put together this amazing presentation. Did you know? Golf practice is only allowed at designated golf facilities. Firearms, explosives, and weapons are not allowed on Breck property. Metal detecting is allowed in some parks, but go to Breck's website to learn more about this and other park rules. For more information, visit breck.org/HDB.
Don't cry for me, Ron Higgins. He's here. He's the best sports writer in the Southeast and a free agent. But we're doing this in August with plenty of time before the start of the college football season, and you will write some college football for somebody before the start of the season. It's inevitable. If not, you're going to write it for sports225.com, and I'm going to put the damn thing on there.
I'll write for somebody for something.
Yeah, you will. You got to get a little cardboard sign that says "We'll write for food."
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, speaking of which, the SEC season will start, and let's just talk about LSU because that'll be more fun. It's been quite a preseason for them, hasn't it? With the usual off the field stuff, but it seems like just
we'll just let's see at the first 2 weeks. So let's suspend 3 players, one for a university suspension, 2 because the guy was a getaway driver in a robbery in January, didn't get arrested until May, and didn't tell anybody about it or his mother. And then the latest allegations against another receiver that he beat up his girlfriend. Supposedly was going back and forth on that.
Whose father I used to cover in basketball, whose indiscretions back then helped me win some awards.
There you go. So there you go. The world goes around and round. And so, and then you have 2 quarterbacks leave. And besides that, it's been pretty smooth.
Did the 2 quarterbacks who leave know a sinking ship when they're on one?
I think I think it's a case of, McMillan was a no-brainer. He's a redshirt junior who graduated, so he has 2 years left as a graduate. So he can go play somewhere. Mm-hmm. Well, Narcisse made the decision. I think, a smart one where he saw that, Joe Burrow's there going to be for 2 years, Ohio State guy. 2 years maybe, unless he has a great year this year and leaves. Then you got Miles Brennan, who's a sophomore this year. And so Narcisse kind of, made the decision, let me go to a junior college this year and play.
And that way he gets to transfer right away and doesn't lose a year of football.
Exactly. So it was a smart move. And so this happens at every school. There's an attrition. People leave, and now they're down to 2 scholarship quarterbacks, and they've had some walk-ons, but, people get panicked over this kind of stuff, and honestly, it happens everywhere. It really does. And what's amazing is this year in the SEC, you're going to have you'll have 4 starting quarterbacks who were major college quarterbacks elsewhere before they came to the SEC schools. And so that's a trend too now.
Yeah, free agency, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's only free agency is going to become real free agency in due time. They're just going to let them transfer around. Hey, before I forget, Ron's still got his Twitter handle at Ron Higg, RONHIGG. And if you're on Facebook, he'll gladly let you be his friend.
Yeah,
Won't you be my friend?
Yeah, you come to Facebook, you get a look at my world, see the
dogs,
the dog. I put the Bichons, my 3 pups, and my little.
There's just something wrong about. You got Higgins and Schneider are both about 6'5".
I like portable dogs.
And he's got these little Bichon Frigies who are, they're cute little dogs. And Schneider's got these little tiny, dachshund types. And to see him out walk, he lives not far from me.
And you had horses.
Yeah, and And he goes, he see them walking these little dogs and playing with them. Yeah, we got big dogs.
But
A big dog.
yeah, I see my Facebook some strange videos I put up of really bad. It was one a week ago. A really bad Swedish video of some Swedish pop video from like the 70s. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's riveting. It's so bad.
I got time. I got to tell. I hope. Hey, John, did I tell the story last week about seeing the ABBA band in Sweden? Did I say that on the air? I didn't tell it? Okay, good. So, real quick. So, we're in a town called Kalmar, Sweden. It's on the southeast coast, okay? And that night in the town square, well, that morning they're setting up a stage, and they tell us, there's going to be an ABBA band here tonight. Not ABBA, but an ABBA band. And to make an incredibly long story short, because we already, we're way over, we're in this outdoor restaurant, probably 1,000 people easy sitting outside. Another 1,000 could have sat inside, but Swedes are not going inside in the summertime. Forget that. And we're out there drinking beer, and that band cranks up, and they sound just like them. And man, when they're playing like Dancing Queen, Take a Chance on Me, Mamma Mia, and then of course they finish with Waterloo. Yeah. Man, you don't interrupt people. We're talking, and they're all just like getting after it. An ABBA band.
I love ABBA.
How could you not?
I've always loved ABBA.
They sound just like them too. It was amazing.
They look like them?
I never saw them. I was screened, and I was sitting down low in a chair, and I just was drinking a whole bunch of beer.
Back then, when ABBA was huge,
oh yeah.
The blonde was,
Well, in real life, I heard they didn't really speak English. They learned it all for the songs.
Yeah.
And on that ridiculous note, and the crazy stories you've heard, we'll come back with what limited time we have. We'll get Ron to make some quick SEC and LSU football predictions. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Well. Looks like someone forgot all neighborhood Breck Parks close at dark.
You want another?
I think they'll pass. Amplified music and sound is prohibited without permission from Breck. No alcoholic beverages on Breck property. Smoking of tobacco products is not allowed. Use of fire is prohibited except in grills. Gotta remember, Breck wants you to have fun, but in the right way. For more info, go to breck.org/HDB.
Coming down the home stretch of another Sports 225, our second show of the 2018-19 season. Remember to go to sports225.com to see all the listings of when we first air on Your View, which used to be Cox 4, and on CST, and to see all the archived old shows. There's plenty there with Ron Higgins. Thanks to John Williams from Think JCW for directing. Phew. So I gave you fair warning. LSU prediction for this year, since the next time I see you and have you on the show, the season already have been going.
So I'm gonna go 8-4.
That's higher than a lot of people are picking.
A lot of people have them like 7-5, 6-6. I think Burrow makes a difference. I think their defense is tremendous. It's going to carry them for a while. They really have to win two of the first three games, and game one is Miami, and game three is Auburn. So they got to win one of those two. I really think they can win the opener. But they're not going to win at Auburn because Auburn's still angry about last year after basically going brain dead with the play call and giving the game away in Tiger Stadium. I think they'll go 8-4. I think that there's a little bit better talent than people think, and I think the defense is. They're going to win a lot of games early. The ones that are going to win early are going to be like those typical LSU 24-17 games, or low scoring because of the defense, and offense is not there yet.
And if they went 8-4 and won a bowl game, 9-4 would. Be an okay stopgap into what you would then become, hopefully, a better situation.
Yeah, I think Orgeron, unless he totally tanks this year, should be the coach in 2019 and get that year. He needs 3 full recruiting classes. That's just me though. A lot of people don't agree with that, but I believe that.
That's good. SEC, is Alabama better than everybody else?
Alabama's better than everybody else. You have 2 quarterbacks, and either one can start for everybody in the league. And he's losing some people in the preseason and hurt, but he just kind of says next and brings another 5-star guy in. Alabama, Auburn. Everybody says Mississippi State. Mississippi State. My whole thing is this: they're not used to being ranked this high in the preseason, and they're not used to having people shoot at them. And so when you're not used to that, sometimes in that role you're not very good. Well, that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Other side, Georgia. And got a lot of people back, and they got a lot of defenders back. And then After that, we don't know. Georgia's by far, Alabama by far. They'll meet again in the championship, you know.
Ron Higgins, ladies and gentlemen. Follow him at Ron Hig on Twitter. He's on Facebook, and you'll know his next move if you keep up with him. Thanks. Great to see you.
You have cab fare home? I appreciate it.
It's
a long way to walk,
I
really.
got you covered.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for watching Sports 225. Good night.
At carnival time by Baton Rouge Bay, that's the site of my story. At Spanish Town Mardi Gras, things can get blurry. See the mowers marching, prizes fill the sky. This Spanish Town Mardi Gras.